Wake up. Well, we have a lot, you know, the whole new record playing in Moscow. You've got a tour coming up. We've got 30 minutes, a lot happening. Let's get right to the phone calls. Shane is calling from Poughkeepsie, New York. Welcome to the show, Shane. Ask your question.
Hey, guys, what's up?
Shane! Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up?
We play Poughkeepsie, Mid-Hudson.
You guys are excellent, dude. I gotta tell you, man, you guys rule.
Thanks.
I was just wondering, I read in a magazine that your tape was originally going to be called, like, Shred in Secrecy?
Huh? No, absolutely not. What? Shred? Trading in secrecy or something like that. No.
But you opted to call the album simply Metallica. Why is that?
Well, shorter. Yeah. Easier to remember. Oh, it's a good band name. No, I mean, we just wanted to get away from some of the, you know, sort of heavy metal cliches and having, you know, 10-word album titles and all that. You know, who can have the most sideways thing and wordplays and all that kind of thing. It just seemed to be getting a little old, so we just thought we'd make it short and sweet, Metallica, you know.
Thank you, Shane, for calling short and sweet. Now we're going to move to New London,
That's the next album title.
Yeah, that would be good. Nancy, how are you? Welcome to Rockline.
How you doing, guys?
Hello. Hey. All right.
I just want to tell you guys I think you're great, and I love you guys. I love James, and I miss Cliff and everyone.
Okay.
And my question is, I know in Jason Newsted's first band, Flotsam and Jetsam, he wrote all the lyrics just about for the whole album, and I was just wondering why he only helped write the one song, My Friend in Misery. Was there a reason?
You want to handle that one? Well, I think you're better at handling this one. Jason's new stuff seemed to be a little more like the Justice album, a little more progressive, a little faster, a little more sideways, and it just seemed like the stuff that me and James and Kirk were writing was a little simpler, a little bouncier and so on. We just wanted to try and kind of stick to that. So My Friend in Misery, Jason wrote this bass line, and we kind of wrote a whole song around it. There you go.
Nancy brought off Cliff as well, and this is the first Metallica album without any kind of Cliff Burton contribution. Was that sort of sad, the end of an era?
Oh, God.
Sorry, it came up.
I mean, to be totally honest with you, we don't really think of it like that anymore. When Cliff comes up in conversations now, it's usually we laugh at him for being late or, you know, for just some of the sillier things about him. You know, we never really sit around and go, oh, Cliff, yeah. You know, I mean, obviously I think we think like that more inside ourselves when we're alone, but when we talk about him, you know, within the band, it just, you know, we laugh and we think of the good times, and it's just like, but you gotta understand that Jason's been in the band almost 5 years now, and he's been in the band about 1.5 years longer than Cliff has, and even though people still think of him as a new guy, it's like he's actually, you know, we're used to having him around, so.
I guess after 5.5 years, you would get used to it. Thanks for the call, Nancy. That was a good one.
Actually getting tired of it.
We've got Mike on the line from St. Louis, Missouri. Go ahead, Mike, you're on.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Mike.
I really wanted to commend you guys on the success of your new album. It really shows how you guys have grown musically. Got two questions for you. Do you realize that the widespread of bootleg CDs and videos that have been distributed throughout the country since the Justice album, and how do you feel about that?
Really? There's at least 150 to 200 bootleg albums alone. When we were out in Europe, I remember seeing a magazine that had an article on all the bootleg albums that we'd ever put out, and there's tons and tons and tons of bootleg albums.
Can't even keep up with them anymore.
I mean, and also a lot of times these companies will take the same bootleg album and package it differently and put it in a different sleeve with totally different artwork, and it's just.
Or even worse, sometimes there's been a couple bootlegs. So, you know, Metallica has a song times, then you put it on, and it's like some demo from some band you never heard of.
Oh,
you know?
really?
Yeah.
Different artists handle that differently. I know Bob Dylan has his people go out and confiscate any tape recorders they see, as opposed to the Grateful Dead, who say, here's the taping section. How do you
We actually,
handle
on the a couple of gigs on the last tour, we had what was called the taper section, which is like up behind the mixing board. You actually like can buy a ticket, and you encourage the kids to come in and tape the show. Kind of, our manager,
Bay Area influence?
Well, I think our manager Cliff has this theory that you know, we're the Grateful Dead for the 90s or something like that.
Come on, let's squelch that.
And I guess maybe it also makes us play better or whatever, but I don't think that theory really works.
I mean,
but
on the tour, for the 90s,
on this tour that we have,
it here.
On this tour that we have coming up, we have it at every show. So we're going to have this taper section at every show, so, you know, bring a tape recorder. You know, check it out.
I mean, with bootleg albums, it's something that you can't really stop anyway, so
And you can either approach it in a negative way or approach it in a positive way. And you know, it's a way of you know, keeping everything going, even though you know,
we don't really mind it as long as we get a copy of it, you know.
As long as
Have
you
something
get
to
a
laugh
copy.
at.
We've got Lisa on the line who's calling from Kinnaning, Pennsylvania. Hi, Lisa. Say hello to Kirk and Lars.
Hi guys. I'm really big fans of yours. We went to see you 13 times in the last.
Oh my God!
13
we played
times.
13 gigs in the last.
States, and we even flew out to California to see you guys. Your last
Holy.
2 shows out there.
Was it worth it?
Yes, most definitely. I have 2 questions. The first one's for Kirk. When he
sorry.
records in a studio, does he stand up or sit down? And the second question is, in the beginning of Am I Evil, why does Kirk and James make that pyramid above their head?
Well, the first. Okay.
That's heavy. Oh, that's heavy.
Okay.
Oh, that's heavy.
Oh, I can't wait to hear the answer to this.
Yeah, you familiar with the phrase, some things should just be left alone?
Well, they're not going to be left alone today.
We should have had a meeting about this before.
Okay, James should have been here to answer that one.
That's definitely a James question.
Okay, let's
But,
get
I mean,
these 2 questions again.
getting to your first question, a lot of times I sit down in the studio and play, and when I'm really excited about playing a certain thing or a certain passage, sometimes I'll sit up, or you know.
Not very often.
But yeah, which is only once maybe. But or if I'm using a wah pedal, I'll stand up. But
Which is very often.
usually I sit down. Yeah. Usually I sit down. As for the pyramid thing,
Yeah,
that's
something we can't talk about.
We also use it.
I think this question was directed at Kirk, Lars.
Yes.
She's going,
I'll come back in 5 minutes.
I'm afraid that if you say something we
you
can't
have
talk
water
about, we
in
won't
yours?
get the answer. Go ahead, Kirk.
But I mean, it's also a cue to go into the next part. How's that? Is that a safe enough answer?
What's the real story? It just got such a big reaction. There has to be.
I never knew that anyone noticed.
It's
I mean,
a real inside thing.
yeah, it's an
I think
inside
it's best
joke.
not to talk about it on TV.
Oh, I tried.
It's just a silly male thing, you know.
Okay,
But
well.
let me give you a hint. When James comes on here,
yeah.
you should ask him because he has the real answer.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa, that's what we'll do when James comes on.
Call back.
Orlando, Florida. Joey, welcome to the show, Joey. Say hi and ask your question, which hopefully we'll get an answer to.
Hey, you guys are the greatest band in the world, I swear.
All right.
Okay.
I was wondering, are you guys going to make more videos and, like, release more singles from this album, or are you guys, like, afraid that people will think you're selling out if you do? Because, like, you have been, like, in the past a lot.
Well, we're definitely putting out more singles and making more videos.
As a matter of fact, we just made a new video for The Unforgiven about 4 weeks ago. We were over here playing the MTV Awards, and it should premiere on your channel if you guys are interested in having it in about 3 or 4 weeks.
That will make a total of 3.
3 videos. Ooh, scary.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the Unforgiven video, the B-side, which I believe features some interesting backup vocals. We have a toll-free number here, 1-800-344-ROCK, and that's 344-7625. Our guests are Kirk Hammett and Lars Ulrich of Metallica. Welcome back. It's Rockline on MTV, and my guests are Lars Ulrich and Kirk Hammett of Metallica. If you have a question, the number is toll-free 1-800-344-ROCK. We were talking about videos before the break, and you've just made a new one. Do you like making videos?
I'm starting to like it, yeah. It was a bit weird because you understand that we spent like 8 years not making videos, and it was just like there was this big evil that we sort of kept away from. And then
Why is that?
I don't know. I think we just never felt that it was something that we needed to get what we're doing across to people and so on. And I think in the early years, it was like sort of the marketing plan with bands. You know, you have your art, you know, your pretty boy looks and your photographs, and here's the video, and here's this whole marketing thing, and we just kind of wanted to stay away from that. And so 8 years later, Peter Mensch walks into our dressing room, who's our manager, and said, you know, in Paris a couple years ago, said, let's do a video for the song One, and we're like, huh? And after, you know, a couple hours, he actually talked us into it. It was pretty cool doing that. We did one for Sandman, which was pretty fun, and I'm actually starting to really dig it.
Now, the B-side of the single for The Unforgiven is what?
In what country? In America?
It's different everywhere.
Well, isn't there...
In America, it's a song called Killing Time. which is a song that was done by this band called Sweet Savage, which Vivian Campbell, who was in Whitesnake for about 5 minutes, that was his first band, and it's a song that we used to play in the real early days when we were just playing the clubs around LA with Dave Mustaine and so on.
And Kirk, are you singing backup vocals on the track?
Yes, I am.
Is that the first time that you've done any singing on Metallica?
No, actually, I've done backup vocals on other albums. It's just that this time it was just me for once. We went to do the vocals in a studio in Holland. Was it Holland?
Holland.
Yeah, it was Holland. And we were going to do backup vocals the way we always do it, which is like a bunch of us. And it didn't work out. And then we tried it with just Jason, and that didn't work out. And we tried it with just myself, and it worked. So.
Right. So in the U.S., that's what the B-side is. Mike, I believe, has a question about The Unforgiven, who's calling from Blythe, California. Welcome to the show, Mike. What's your question?
Hi, Martha.
Hi.
I love what you're doing with the show. I think it's great.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
We're okay.
We're all right.
I think your album's hard, man. It's real cool, man. I was wondering about my favorite song on the album is The Unforgiven, and how'd you guys come up with the concept for that?
Good question. How did we come up with that? We'd written about, I think, 10 songs, and James had this one other kind of melodic, subdued piece that we're kind of talking about maybe it should just be like a little instrumental piece, and I suggested to him that it just had a really cool vibe to it, that maybe we should turn it into a song. So I wanted to do a ballad that was different from all the other ballads that we've done, which is usually like, you know, kind of subdued verses and a real heavy chorus. So we kind of flipped that around and did like a heavy verse and a kind of mellow chorus, and that turned into The Unforgiven.
I'm just sitting here looking at you guys thinking 600,000 albums right off the bat. What is that like? Did you expect that, first of all?
Of course.
No, you didn't.
I'm just kidding.
He did.
I did.
Expected 700,000.
Well, but let's talk about what the real plan was.
No, I think we all had an idea that the first week was going to be, you know, pretty good, you know, and because obviously we have some really dedicated fans out there, and we knew that, you know, everybody, we were trying to get the release date out to people August 12th, blah, blah, blah. So we knew that the first few days were going to be pretty serious, but the way that it kind of is still 6 weeks later, it was #1 for 4 weeks, it just kept hanging on and on, just really blew everybody away, really big time.
How do you maintain your fans' dedication?
Well,
just by being ourselves.
Yeah,
I mean, you try and not let stuff like that, just, you know, try not to think about it too much. It's like, what was good about the situation was that we were on tour over in Europe, and it was like being removed from it over there. You know, we're sitting in hotel rooms in Italy and, you know, Budapest and all these far out places, just getting faxes from our office saying, you know, #1, and here are the figures. And in a way, it just seemed like really kind of distant and unreal. And I think it was good for us that way, because if we'd been in America at the time, you know, it might have kind of hit us in a different way. So I think it was real healthy that way.
Well, let's see what Dave thinks. Dave's calling from
What does Dave think?
Willimantic, Connecticut. Dave, did you buy the record yet?
He stole it.
Dave?
Hi, Dave. Speak.
Dave, did you buy the album yet?
Yeah.
See, 1 of 600,000 right here. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Ask your question.
Pretty good.
We're hanging out, you know, rapping, you know, with Martha.
Right.
Well, okay. Say something.
About, what do you think of Dave Mustaine and his success with Megadeth, and are y'all still friends?
Yeah, I mean, it was weird for a while because, you know, there was a lot of weird things going on in the press between us and Mustaine for a couple of years, and I think that it was just, you know, Dave was kind of bitter. I mean, it wasn't like the sweetest of breakups, and, you know, but he has a great band, and he's made some records that I really like, and when I see him when I'm in LA, I call him up once in a while, we hang out and so on. He's been
So you do still socialize with him?
Oh yeah, we see him. It's not like, you know, it's not like he comes and stays at my house, you know, months at a time, but we hang out when we're in LA, and he's, you know, been kind of cleaning himself up and stuff like that the last year or so. He doesn't like socialize in the way that we used to. And so I don't see as much of him as I used to, but, you know, Dave's fine, and you know, a lot of that stuff that went on in the press for a couple of years, it was just silly, and I think both of us are kind of over
Kirk,
that
didn't
now.
he come up and say something to you at one point at the Clash of the Titans tour?
Where do you guys get your information? I never told anyone.
From me.
But it was really unusual because, like, I was standing there, and, you know, I'm always, you know, polite about it. I go, hey, Dave, how you doing? And he goes, hey, how you doing? And he said, he basically just came up to me and apologized for all the bad mouthing that he did to me and the band, and you know, I was really surprised, and I think that was a result of, you know, him cleaning up and actually being able to think with a clear head.
Cool.
And, you know,
Must have felt good to have that resolved a bit.
Yeah, you know, I thought it was very decent of him.
Good. You're watching Rockline on MTV. Kirk, Hammett, Lars, Ulrich are in the studio. Please stay with us. We only have one more segment.
Oh, no.
We will be back.
I
know. Welcome back. This is Rockline on MTV. If you have a question for either Lars or Kirk, please call us. You're too late. No, they're not. 1-800-344-ROCK, and that's 344-7625. If your call gets on the air, you'll receive a box of 10 Sony Metal SR audio cassettes, as well as 100 frequent buyer points redeemable for great stuff like a Sony Watchman, and it's all courtesy of Sony Recording Media. Now, the first time anybody heard Metallica was at a little party in New York City. Tell me about that. And where was this little party?
Oh, was it the Cat Club? What's that big venue called?
That one place that that other band played. That other really huge band that they made a movie of. Anyway.
Deep Purple, yeah.
Zeppelin?
Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. That band.
Madison Square Garden.
We just decided to have a listening party for a few close friends, and you know, it got a little bit bigger than we thought it'd turn out. No, it's a lot of fun. It worked out really well.
And Jason tried to go out into the crowd.
I think he actually succeeded.
No, I think we all went out into the crowd.
Did you?
I didn't go out. I was hiding in a closet.
I was out and amongst the fans, and the lights were down, and I saw this guy sitting in a wheelchair, and I tapped him on the shoulder, and he looked at me and he like kind of jumped, and I said, "How do you like the album?" And he goes, "Oh, it's great." And then I walked off, and I looked behind me, and he was like following me. And then, you know, it got bigger and bigger, and so I had to get out of there.
It was interesting. It was just weird, just walking around like the corridors of Madison Square Garden, and like your album's playing up there, and there's like 10,000 people sitting up there, and it's like, it was really uncomfortable. I was more nervous that day than I've ever been for anything else with Metallica. It was weird.
What an amazing event, listening party at Madison Square Garden. Bill is calling from Phoenix, Arizona. Hi, Bill. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going good.
Hey, how you doing, Bill?
Yeah, I was just wondering, I liked your Garage Days Revisited, the first one, and I was just wondering if you're ever going to come out with another one.
Well, we actually did. See, there's a trick thing in there, because the first one was the B-side of a European single that, like Creeping Death or something, like in '84. The second one, the second Garage Days Revisited, was the one that came out as the 598 EP. So will we do a third one? Not the next few days.
That pretty much was a spontaneous event anyway. I mean, it wasn't something that we had planned months in advance to do. It was something that we put out because that year was '87. We were playing a Castle Donington gig in London, and also 2 other gigs in Germany, and we wanted to put out something. Some sort of product so that it would tie in with those shows. And when Elektra found out about it, they decided, let's get a part of this. And they released it in the States, and that's how that all came about.
But if you want more kind of silly B-sides and stuff like that, a lot of the cassette singles that are coming out all have like unreleased cover songs on the B-sides, like the one Killing Time we were just talking about, and the next couple of singles have some more like just silly cover songs from the early '80s and stuff. So
for Metallica collectors, it's a good thing.
Shows up now.
Definitely. So thank you for the call, and now we're going to go on to Belle Vernon, Pennsylvania. We'll say hello to Shawneen. Hi, Shawneen.
Guys.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to say that you guys are phenomenal, and I can't wait to see you in Pittsburgh when you guys come.
Thank you.
Pittsburgh. Right.
Did you buy a ticket yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Because it went on sale yesterday.
Shawneen, do you have a question?
Alone, I'm nervous. Anyways, I was wondering if you guys could give me like some insight into the stage setup for the concert.
Oh, God. I was waiting for that.
Absolutely not.
Okay, Kurt, well, I'll tell you the whole story, then I'll give you all the dirt. What do you want to know? Where did you go? It's a stage. It's pretty different from what anybody's ever seen before.
It's ambitious. Okay.
It's not theatrical. It's pretty clean, but what's different about it has more to do with like the setup and the configuration within the arena. I think the best way of saying it is probably that, like, basically every song that we play is going to be a different setup. You know, like you go to a gig and it's like the stage is at one end of the arena and the singer's in the middle and the drummer's behind him and the guitar player's to the left, and there's your sort of configuration for the evening. We threw that way out the door, and so the whole gig is just going to be different configurations all over the stage that's got a shape that is pretty different from what you've seen before.
You just have 500 roadies going out with you.
It's definitely giving our roadies a big headache. I mean,
a big hit.
The stage.
They're finally working.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
The stage.
We love you guys.
The stage show is definitely designed with a fan's point of view in mind. And this enables us to get a lot closer to the fans than we've ever had before. And it's going to be.
It's going to be very different. I'll guarantee you that. And also, it's not. I'll say this: the stage is not in the middle of the arena, so it's not like us in the round.
Yeah.
But every seat around us, even behind us, is just as good a seat as anywhere else. You can see the whole show from anywhere in the arena. We're selling all the way around, but we're not playing in the middle, so you figure it out. You know?
All right, so we know tickets went on sale yesterday in Pittsburgh, and October 29th, I think you go out on your tour.
Yeah, we start in Peoria.
Well, Scott, you have the honors and the unfortunate task, actually, for all of us to be the last phone caller. So Scott is calling from Quincy, Massachusetts.
Fun.
I know.
Yeah, we're just warming up to this.
I know. Go ahead, Scott. What's your question?
My question is, well, first of all, I'd like to say that you guys are the greatest metal band ever created on the face of the earth. Well,
that's big.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, thanks.
I'd like to ask you guys that when you guys decided to change producers and go to Bob Rock, what made you guys change it, since you had a lot of success with your other producers on your other album?
Okay, I just have to say one thing. We have about 45 seconds. So give us the short answer.
Short version.
We like
to change.
We like the sound of his name.
Right. Yeah. Great name.
You can throw on the Motley Crue thing. We have time.
No, I mean it was his time to try something different. You know, Fleming, the guy that did the last 3 records, was not really that much of a producer, and I think we just felt that it was time to let somebody in on just kind of what was going on within the studio and try and push some things out of us and whatever. You've heard it all before anyway.
Yeah, but... Well, thank you so much for being here. October 12th, Day on the Green in the Bay Area, hometown area. So that's it. This edition of Rockline. Next week, Paula Abdul will be here. See you then. Flies by.